by.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
Welcome to today's Sunset Safari, and there's Gerald the giraffe peering down upon us. My name is Brent Leo Smith. I have the very large Jean-Ray Gerding on the back of the camera, and we have the Commander Bond, otherwise known as James Henry, with Dangerous Dave the Dish out on Wendy. So we're back up to 2 vehicles. Very exciting news. And I think we have Geraldine and Louise in final control. And of course Gerald here to welcome us for the Sunset Safari. Nice big male giraffe. Now I know you guys had a fantastic sighting of Mr. Quarantine with Jamie this morning. Now during the day Karula was spotted not far from where we are. So both James and myself are starting out having a quick look for the Queen of Djuma. And then after that, I think I'm going to meander down towards Cheetah Plains. Remember, this is a live African safari. You are seeing Gerald the giraffe at the exact same time as we are. And also, if you want to know a bit more about giraffe, feel free to ask us questions. And you can do that by using the hashtag SafariLIVE on Twitter, or send us an email, questions@wildearth.tv. Now, Gerald looks like he's just enjoying the sun. It's about 23 degrees Celsius, 72 Fahrenheit, and it's a glorious winter's afternoon here in the Sabi Sands Game Reserve in South Africa, and more particular, we're on Djuma Private Game Reserve, and as you can see, the beautiful powder blue sky behind that magnificent giraffe. He doesn't look too concerned with feeding. And it does look like he's just basking and giving us a look. They are incredible creatures. So while we are looking at this glorious giraffe, I'm passing my radio back to Jean-Ray, who is the head of our camera department, who is going to try troubleshoot while live an audio problem on the other vehicle. Here we go, Jean-Ray, here's your radio. Now here's a little behind-the-scenes snippet. Maybe I can turn the camera on to Jean-Ray while he dictates. Oh no, he's zoomed. Oh, sorry. I'm making a mess here. We'll leave it on the giraffe. Jean-Ray is saved from... Jean-Ray is going to be saved. There we go. So here we go, Jean-Ray is troubleshooting camera problems at the moment. Now he's putting it on me. Yes, now he's trying to make me feel awkward. But that's not a problem, because I'm tall and I have long arms.
James, the second menu option should be audio. It should be audio, and the second menu option near the last set of that menu option will be XLR inputs, and there you'll have either splitting one.
It's very good to have a very clever head of camera department who's able to fix such things. Of course, we would be nothing without our camera and tech department who enable us to send you this glorious signal from the middle of the African bush. Us, we are just the Jeep jockeys who talk nonsense and get to look for animals. And speaking of looking for animals, we're going to continue on now and see if we have any luck with the tracks of the Queen of Djuma, Karula, the female leopard. Bye, Gerald. Now, as we leave Gerald, James Richards wondering, do giraffes have scent glands? And if so, what are they used for, since the giraffe are non-territorial? It's a very good question, James. They will be used to a degree, mark dominance. So a dominant male or a female estrus will exude pheromones from those scent glands and help the males to track her down so they can produce the next generation of Djuma giraffes. Okay, so we're going to start looking carefully for tracks. But James said she was heading in a sort of easterly direction. So we're in a loop down towards Leadwood Road. Oh, but of course, it's not only about the leopards. And we've got a little bird party here, and I can actually see quite a few different species. Now, John, let's start on the Ziziphus up. And, okay, let's see where you are above. Yes, there we go, you're good. And a little bit to the right, center, so go a little bit, oh, you've got it. There we go. There's a little crombeck, tiny little insectivore, cleaning his beak. A little bit down to the right. Okay, zoom there, Jean-Ray. On the, a little bit to the top, left, a little bit. Oh, it's hopping away, unfortunately. And there was a southern black tit. Oh, you can see, what is that brightly coloured yellow bird there? It was an oriole. There we go. Nice, Jean-Ray. He's spotted a black-headed oriole. Not the clearest view of one. I'm just going to move forward a skosh, see if we can look a bit deeper into the Ziziphus macronatum, or buffalo thorn. Very important. Oh, that's what the, there we go. We heard those go-away birds. Wow, wow, there's an African hawk eagle. You can hear all the birds now suddenly come alive with alarm calls because there's a predatory bird around. Now, hawk eagles are incredible hunters of other birds. That looks like a juvenile. Yes, it is a juvenile. Look how full its crop is as it turns. It's got a full bird in there. A juvenile African hawk eagle. And it set all the other birds into a little bit of a panic. But it is getting further away. I can't see. There we go. It's going higher. Beautiful, beautiful. You see those little white windows in the wing. And it's a very diagnostic feature. And it's even, there we go. You see them right on the tips of the wings, that lighter coloured feathers. It's a diagnostic feature of the hawk eagles. But look at his crop. Now, a crop is where a bird stores its food. Look how full it is. He might even have 3 crombecks in there. Normally, they feed off bigger birds. Guinea fowl is a favourite prey. Franklin, off it goes. Very seldom the smaller birds, but they are often hunt in pairs. So this juvenile is probably dispersing from its mother and father that actually nest not too far from where we are now. And it'll disperse and eventually probably go set up a territory of its own and find a mate. Now, we've still got a few birds hopping and bopping about. And just, okay, so zoom where you are now, a little bit lower. That bottom left branch of the, oh, there you go, you got it. Just flew, crested barbet. So, oh, and off we went. That's a fruit bird. Well, they're not playing along so much in this windy weather. It's not too windy, but enough wind to keep them a little nervous. Now, actually, I've changed my mind about where I want to go. And these birds have inspired me to get down into the Mawati River. Now, it's a great place to bird, especially at this time of the day. It's warm as winter goes, about 23 degrees, but it's still cool enough that we're going to get quite a lot of activity, and we're going to find these bird parties around the river system. So let's hope for some exciting birds, and also this is where Karula was last seen. We also know Queen Karula is one to change her mind, and so she can duck and dive and change direction. One of my favorite little sections of Djuma is through here. So while we see what we can find in the Mawati riverbed, let's go to Commander Bond, who, thanks to Jean-Ray, is on the road.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this end of your sunset safari. Of course, the sun is not setting just yet, but you are still on a safari regardless of the position of the sun. You are on a live safari, as Brent told you, so please do talk to us during the course of the next 3 or so hours. Hashtag SafariLIVE, questions at wildearth.tv. My name is James Henry. On camera today we have David in a T-shirt and not his bank robber's outfit as he had on this morning. Now, our plan this afternoon is to head towards the waterholes. It's been a nice warm day. maybe there'll be a few things that want to come and have a bit of a drink. Perhaps some elephants, perhaps some buffalo, perhaps a great herd of lions. Who knows? We might be lucky, we might not. This afternoon I was doing a little bit of a drive, sort of before drive, if you like, and we did see Karula around about where Brent is, but we're in Wendy now, recalcitrant old bag that she is, and her signal ain't so great around where Brent is now, so with any luck he'll pick up Karula there. She wasn't with the cubs, so whether or not she'll still be around there, I'm not sure. But we'll wind our way slowly back there. First thing we're going to do is go to Sydney's Dam, see what we can find there, and then we'll head towards Buffelshoek Dam and see what we can find there. Well, you are all most welcome, and please do talk to us on this marvellous Saturday afternoon. I'm going to guess that it's around 25 degrees Celsius in the sun. Not so warm when you're in the wind, because there is a little bit of a wind blowing. It's 23 degrees Celsius apparently, 73 degrees Fahrenheit, that's what the internet tells us. How true it is, of course, we're not really sure. But yeah, that sounds about right. Not bad for midwinter, really. Quite pleasant. So we're just going to these clearings here and have a look and see what we can see. The sky, you can see, is not quite, it's not burnt out, but it is quite pale towards the horizon, and I think that's a function of the fact that there has been a front blowing through, there's been some wind, and that's probably quite a lot of dust there. So it's not that sort of crisp, clear thing that happens just after a front has been through. David, there is a bird. It is a Cape glossy starling, but it has some friends with it, and you may have just heard them fly off going those were red-faced mouse birds. Unfortunately they have departed, but there is the Cape glossy starling, very, very similar to the greater blue-eared glossy starling, the only difference being the call, basically. Right, well, I don't think he's going to fly, actually. I think he's going to sit there for most of the rest of the afternoon. That being the case, let's head back across to Brent, who has found himself an antelope.
I just heard something. We were actually about to look at Nyala, and I just got a report on the radio that Karula's right here. So I'm trying to get there. It sounds like she is heading south towards the boundary, so hold on. Let me just grab my game drive. Ferrari Safari. Elvis confirmed best approaches from Gariman. Okay, hold on, guys. So we were looking in the right area. Now we're going to see how Jean's rodeo skills are. This is quite fun, though. Sand driving is something I did a lot of growing up in northern Botswana. Yeehaw! There we go, Jean is on the rodeo. We're about 2 minutes, not even, from where Karula is, and there, I see the vehicle, and she is apparently heading south, so we might just get a glimpse of her. Woo, sand flying up there. Okay. She's just up here. The Queen of Djuma. Walking down our southern boundary. There she is there. Isn't this amazing? We're with the Queen of Djuma. If any of you are new to Safari Live, this is the dominant female leopard over Djuma, and her territory does extend to the south of our Traverse area, so I'm just gonna pop, there we go, and stop here. There she is. Let's hope she cuts back to the northwest, and that's into Djuma, rather than to the south. Now, she does have 2 cubs at the moment, and we're not sure where she's hidden them. She could have hidden them to the south. She could have hidden them on Juma. That's a good girl. It looks like she wants to take that. That elephant path is the right one. Okay. There she goes. So I'm going to watch her very carefully. Now, Karula is one of the few female leopards that I've spent a lot of time with that moves a lot during the day. Quite a lot of leopards will sleep during the day, but Karula does tend to move quite a bit in the daylight hours. Come on, turn right. Everyone will Karula to go to the right. So James's intel was spot on about where to start looking. We both started and we were both coming in on that area to try maximize our chances of seeing her. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a long trip around her and get up ahead of her. Jean-Ray is going to keep an eye on her for me. So we're going to go, fortunately, this nice new built road. I'll go that way, Karula. So it looks like, by the way she's chosen to go, her cubs might be to the south. I was hoping she was going to walk further up the road towards Treehouse Dam. But she is heading to the south. Now she might just, she's going to pop out. Let me just get us in the right spot. There we go. She's going to pop out in that little opening there, Jean-Ray. Okay, good. So unfortunately she is going to the south. I think she's probably returning to the cubs. Now what we want to look at her carefully. Oh, she's coming back towards us. I'm going to just get a photo of her face. No, she's hungry. There's no blood around her face. I was hoping she might have made a kill and was returning to fetch the cubs and bring the cubs back to Juma. Now, she probably has gone into this slightly thicker area, and that's to help her stalk. So if there's a little steenbok or possibly impala around, there's a lot less chance of her being spotted when she's in that monkey orange thicket. So I'm just going to let a car go past. He's not on game drive, he's on his way past. Okay, we're going to try to keep up with her now. She's parallel to us. And I'm just going to, she still might easily cross into Juma. I think she's just utilizing these thickets to her advantage in case there are any potential prey species up ahead. There she is. Isn't she gorgeous? The queen of Juma, Karula, the female leopard. One of the most successful leopard mothers I've ever had the privilege of spending time with. Who raised the majority of her known litters to adulthood. Now that is no mean feat when in the Sabi Sands the average leopard mortality is about 75%. So 75% of all cubs born are normally killed, and normally by other male leopards. Okay, I'm going to stop. She looks like she might come back onto the road. And you can see she's just lifted her tail. She's been spotted by some birds. And you'll notice leopards do that when they've been spotted by birds or by antelope, but when it's antelope and the antelope are alarming at them, they tend to lift their tail much higher. But with birds, they'll just lift the little curl. Hi, our bird. Our bird would like to know. I'm just going to try, don't go that way. She might just, I'm just trying to figure out where she's going. I'm going to be back with you in a second. Now, our bird would like to know whether she'll gorge herself first before collecting the cubs, or will collect the cubs immediately. Normally she will eat, possibly not gorge herself, but she'll definitely make sure she's had a meal. Sorry, John, that was a bit harsh on the brakes there. Before she fetches the cubs, but generally quite a quick meal. And you can see how that rosetted camouflage walks and breaks up her outline. And if she had to keep still, she'd almost disappear. Absolutely incredibly beautiful creatures. You're just going to have a vehicle come past you shortly. Don't worry about it. It's just Elvis. He's the one who called. He's the one who called us to come find Karula, so we owe him a thank you. I just hope she doesn't head further south. Just keeping an eye on her. She's in a little bit of a monkey orange thicket. She's going to pop out into that gap, Chandra. There we go. Here she comes. 3, 2, 1. Now, Karula loves monkey orange thicket. Now, that's mostly because two of her favorite prey species spend a lot of time in the monkey orange thickets. That's the steenbok and duiker. Now, the reason she likes those smaller species is she is a female leopard. She's, whoopsie. She's not the biggest female leopard around either. Hold on, Jean-André, we need a bit more of a jump to get over that one. There we go. And she probably weighs about 35 kgs, which is just about 80 pounds or so. And a big male impala is quite a... not to say she can't catch them, but she can't lift them into the tree. So, oh no, she's going south. John, maybe get one last view for you. And she disappears. You got her? There she is. I think she is heading back towards the cubs. We might get one last view. There is a little river system that comes here, and I know we can look down it from a certain spot, so let's try for one last view of the Queen of Djuma. Still just make her out through the bush there. See her, Jean-André? I think she might have ducked down into that river system. Where are you, Queen Karula? There she is. Further behind. Okay, Jean-André, just hang where you are. There she is. Zoom dead center. There we go. So she is heading straight into that little river system. I'm afraid I think that's the last we're going to see of her on this sunset safari. But what an incredible start, and she is looking healthy, if not a bit hungry. I'm going to hang around here for a little bit in case she changes her mind, but I don't think so. We might actually get one more view as she crosses. There's a slight open area over there. Let's have a look. What do you think, Chandra? Maybe. This is going to be our best chance. Somewhere through here. Maybe not. Oh, we're causing traffic jams again. Let's just jump out of the way. Let's just jump forward again. Georgie's wondering how old are Karula's cubs at the moment. They're born on the 2nd of January or February. So March, April, May, June, July. They are 5 months old now. And yeah, I don't think we're going to get another view of her. And she's headed sort of southwest. Come for. Good luck. I'm just saying thanks to Elvis for helping us find her. Lucky we were so close, and good information from Commander Bond got us looking in the right area to start. Oh, alas, Queen Karula has left us. Just okay, so well, that's an exciting start. I'm going to start making my way down to the east towards the cheetah plains and see if we can find Karula's last successful set of cubs. One of the young boys she had, Quarantine, who was seen with Jamie on the Sunrise Safari. So while we do that, let's go see what Commander Bond's up to.
Well, while you've been looking at leopards, everybody, we've been staring into the wind. But there, if you would like to see it, is a lion. Would you like to see a lion, David?
Yes.
Have you seen the lion, David?
Not yet.
Ah, this is why I asked you if you had needed glasses. But I, of course, being deeply aged, have seen the lion and the hippopotamus, on top of which is sitting a heron. Now, David, it is my firm belief that around... Can you see the lion?
It's on your screen, yes.
Oh, wonderful. Well done. Now, that is good news. That is a stroke of blind luck, everyone, and I'm hoping desperately that that lioness has got behind her 3 little cubbies. Let's go and have a look-see. Just quickly have a look at the hippopotamus with his friend the grey heron. That's Gareth the grey heron on Bob the Bachelor of Biffleshoek. And who the lion is, I don't know. This is wonderful. I can't believe it. I really had no idea. As you came live here, I looked on that little spit of land, that little peninsula stretching out into the great vastness of the Biffleshoek water, and there was the lioness. Ha ha! Now, this is grateful joy. Let's see if the little cubs are there. I don't see any cubs, do you, David?
No.
That is distressing. Right, let me stare into the abyss with my binoculars. I see another lion. There's another lion there, Dave. That looks like the young Kuhuma lioness. Who are these? Can you see the other one, David?
Nope.
Go down to the right-hand side, in the shade there. There, you're on her. Zoom in there.
Gotcha.
Now, everyone, we don't have the long lens here. I'm looking at that one with my binoculars. I don't know who she is. She looks quite young to me. And she looks like she's been mangled. Yeah, she's got lots of injury or mange around her face. She's just laying down. She's definitely lactating. Whoever that female is lactating. This is fantastic. I wish I had a very long camera lens. Let's just sit here for a little while, and then we'll go round and see if we can get a better view there. If our signal breaks up, I might tell Binti that he would be benefited by coming to here, but I think he should be all right. We should be okay for now. And I know that our signal is strong where we're sitting now, but that's because we're on the damn wall, and we're going to have to try and get a little bit closer around the other side. Isn't this wonderful? So nice when you get a surprise like this. When you're really not expecting it at all, especially after Dave and I came past here, what, Dave, 3 or 4 times this morning? Well, twice. And found nothing. Yes, and Aaron, you're absolutely right. Cat-a-day Saturday. Thank you, Aaron. Alright, I'm going to try and take one picture, and then let's see if we can get a little bit closer. Don't know which ones. Okay, let's go around. Just so that the female on the ground there is definitely lactating. There's another lioness there. There's another 2 lionesses there. There are 4 lions there. There are lions everywhere. This is amazing. Orbs, there are 4 lionesses now here at Buffelshoek Dam. Now, where are the cubs? I mean, as much as we are fascinated by the adults, it is the little ones that we really love to see. So we're going to be able to see here who's... It looks to me like there are at least 2 lionesses lactating here. In fact, there are 5. There's another one. There's another one there in the bushes.
Yep.
That looks like a male. Can you see it there?
Yep.
It's a male in the bushes there, everyone. And he looks like Skinny Pom Pom to me. You got him there?
Yep.
Yep. Right. Yes, thank you, X-Ranger. You say with utmost skill and most amazing talent, James has managed to find the lions. Yes, exactly. I drove with great skill to Buffelshoek Dam, whereupon I spotted the lions in the open. Well done me, pat on the back. Ah, the male just kicked some elephant dung onto one of the females, who looked up in deep concern. Now, if you look, that one there that you're looking at, whose belly you can see, she's definitely lactating. You can see she's got swollen teats. If you look at the one that just rolled over, she too is showing evidence of swollen teats. And I wonder if they haven't come across here, perhaps to have a drink. And maybe those cubs are not too far away. And maybe that, you know what? This muck on their faces is blood. I think they've been eating something here. It wouldn't surprise me if it was still quite close by. Oh, very nice, David. One of them is now relieving itself.
Mm-hmm.
Lovely. Now, everyone, I know I've mentioned this before, but if you ever want to smell something deeply disgusting, then lions are the way to go. That's wonderful. Got off the peninsula, walked down, stepped up to her friend, and is now weeing on her face, basically. That's really classic lion behavior, and this is why I am unable to see lions as royal, but far more as gangsters of the bush. This is fantastic. Now, Taxon told me that he had tracks coming this way earlier. We had baboons alarm calling here earlier. Yeah, she's definitely eaten that female. Now, Aaron in Florida, you're interested in how on earth lionesses who both got babies would be able to differentiate between their babies if they're the same age. A, I don't think that they necessarily do, but B, if they do, it would be purely from smell. I think they can smell the difference. You know, lions can hear each other's voices. They know the difference between each other's voices. So I don't think it's that hard for them, you know, to distinguish their own. Now, I'm going to attempt a move to get a little bit closer, everyone. If we lose signal, I'm sorry, but we will manage to get it back, I'm sure. But as we go down into this dip here, we might lose signal. This is amazing. I wonder if they didn't eat something close by here. We had the baboons alarm calling off there this morning. Ah. Now, I'm not sure if you can hear us, Jerry. Are we still live? Okay, wonderful. So we're okay here. We won't move too much now. We're right at the water's edge, the great expanse of Buffelshoek Lake, which will be truly, you know what, when it rains, just imagine this, everyone. When it rains here, we are going to be underwater. That's how big this dam has got, which is quite amazing, I think. You can see the great expanse. You can see the hippo there with his friend. I think Harry the heron is probably a better name, don't you, Dave? Rather than Gareth. There we go, Bob. Hello, Bobby. And the lions all over. Unbelievable. Beard, you're wondering about whether or not that hippopotamus would be a danger to cubs. Beard, I don't think so. No, I don't think it would come charging out of the water to kill the cubs. It might. I think it would pose much more danger to the adults, to be honest. But obviously, he's in the water. He's safe. They're out of the water. They're not a threat to him. They got between him and the water. He might become a lot more ornery with them, and he might give them a bit of a rev. But no, where he is now, he's fine, and obviously where the cubs are, well, they're hidden. That male, just look at the male there, David, a ridiculous creature. I mean, that is hardly royal, is it? It's hardly regal behaviour. Lying in a bush with nothing but your nether region sticking out. Alice in Ohio, what a nice question from you. You say if they did have cubs, would they want this male lion around? Alice, it is my firm belief that lionesses, unless they are mating, never want the male around. He's no harm to the cubs. It's not because of the cubs that he doesn't want them around. It's just simply because he's a drain on their resources. I guarantee you he ate most of what they killed, and the only reason he was with them was because he was trying desperately to get something to eat. The biggest scavenger out here is not, contrary to popular belief, the hyena. It is the male lion. And so I don't think they'd necessarily want him around at all, but he's no danger to the cubs because he comes from the coalition that fathered them. So two of them definitely lactating. It'll be fascinating to try and follow them from here and see where they go. But I'm not sure how much movement they're going to be doing, given that they've just eaten. You can see how very full they are. And lions, of course, are expert sleepers. They'll outsleep just about any creature in the world. So we'll sit here for another little while, just see if they don't get up and move around, and then I think we'll probably move on, see what else we can find, and perhaps come back here a little bit later. I can hear some birds' alarm calling off to the right-hand side of your screen, going tip, 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 tip. Whether they're looking at cubs or maybe a leopard coming this way is anyone's guess. I think these lions killed last night on this drainage line. Oh, the male has just rolled over. It's all action here, everybody. Look at that. He looks like he might almost look up, but not quite. I'm going to go and just investigate a little bit of the way up the drainage line, and while I do that, let's go across to Brent and find out what's happening at Cheetah Plains, and then I'll come straight back here to Skinny Pom Pom and the 4 lionesses of the Nkuhuma Pride.
So we're on Cheetah Plains now, and I'm heading down to where the last position of young Quarantine, the male leopard, was seen. He was right on the boundary, on the southern boundary, but the nice thing about young male leopards is they're not as big a marchers as adult males, so he might still be in that vicinity. 3 in a row pans, the only water around, so there's a good chance we could find him. And I'm sure Jean-Ray is hoping the same as me that we find him in the same spectacular fashion that we did yesterday, was it? When he was up in that glorious tree with a beautiful blue sky behind him. So we're actually taking the exact route we took yesterday when we went looking for Quarantine. You can see it's so dry at the moment. The drought is in full effect. And it is quite noticeable up on these crests. And while we were following Quarantine yesterday, we found that magnificent fig tree in the middle of the bush. And there it is. That green tree in the distance. Does that look like an atoll fig? We didn't have too much time to go look at it because we were following a leopard. But that's where we drove through yesterday. Quarantine took us on quite a tour of parts of Cheetah Plains that Jean-Ray and I had never seen before. Remember, we are live at Safari. You're also able to ask us questions, and you can do that by using the hashtag SafariLIVE on Twitter, or pop us an email, questions@wildearth.tv. Now, as I said, a glorious winter's day, 23 degrees Celsius, 72 Fahrenheit, but still a bit of a nip in the air, especially while we're moving. I've battened down my hatches above my sleeves, and I think tonight's going to be colder than last night, so I might have to layer up shortly. Now, the nice thing about this weather is quite often the leopards are going to be basking in the sun as opposed to hiding in the shade. Makes them just that little bit easier to see. And of course, down in this part of the world, there's always a chance we might bump into those 2 cheetah boys. Now, the first time I saw those 2 cheetah was with Brian, and they were actually chased by Quarantine, the male leopard. Okay, Let's have a look for some tracks here. Okay, so I know he walked down here. The last place he was seen was around here. And we had that fascinating interaction between Shivambalan and Quarantine. And James Richard saying it's fascinating how Shivambalan seems to be the one who has moved out of the area as opposed to Quarantine. And do I have any theories on that? I think Shivambalan's got a kill somewhere close by, and they only happened to meet when he came down for a drink. I think he might have gone back to his kill. I'm going to go have a close look around Owl's Nest and that area after, if we don't have any luck with Mr. Quarantine down here. So I think that's possibly why. Although Quarantine normally is further to the north, and it looks like Shivambalan has pushed him to the south. Now he was left sleeping upon a termite mound. I'm guessing it must be that one. Let's go have a look at it. So this is the southern edge of our traverse area. You see tracks? Jean-Ray spotted some tracks. Okay, let me just do this. I can examine them. Fortunately, they happen to belong to an African civet, Jean-Ray. It's a big civet, yes, but a civet nonetheless. I'm just going to check up here a little bit. Just checking very, very carefully up in the trees and on top of the termite mounds. While we check carefully in this vicinity, let's go see how James is doing with the kitty cats at Buffelshoek Dam.
The kitty cats, everybody, have been in high action since you've been away. The male went to the loo precisely where he lay. He didn't even bother to move. That's wonderful. And one of the females got up, moved 3 steps and lay down again. Oh, and there we have another one just rolling over. Well done. Now, I know that I'm very sarcastic about these lions, but they're just, when they are asleep, they are so asleep, it's quite astounding. Definitely they've eaten something. They've got blood all over their faces. They've got big, fat, full bellies. 2 or 3 of them at least are lactating. And it would be so wonderful if 1 or 2 of them got up and led us to their cubbies, which can't be too far away from here. So we had a question this morning also about whether or not the pride was together, whether the 5 of them were together. Well, here are 4 of them. I'm not sure who's missing, but it might well be Amber Eyes that is missing. Monique, a nice question from you. You're all the way from London. You say, could the 5th Nkuhuma lioness be guarding the carcass somewhere? Monique, I don't think so. I'm 90% sure they would have finished whatever it was. They would have then come and had a drink here. If there was still meat that have been eating, then 1 or 2 of them would come down, have a drink and go straight back to the carcass. It's unlikely that they would have left a carcass unattended. And they don't, they don't guard things for each other like some of the other animals do, like wild dogs, for example. They don't do that. They live lives of apparent egalitarianism, but actually they're pretty selfish, these lions. And I'm just not sure where the other female is or which one she is. It would be nice to know. I might just have to get onto the radio briefly. Oh, look at that. Definitely you can see extensive suckling there. Sorry, one sec, everybody. Elvis, you can make your way. I'm sure Mike will be a little while still, and I will move out as soon as you get here. Where are you now? I'm just helping these guys get into the sighting, everyone. I'm going to give up there because no one's listening. Yeah, and the male, of course, classic example of male behavior. He's clearly eaten himself into oblivion, and at the expense of the ladies who probably caught him his meal. And Aaron, you say we've got one b-boy here. We do. Where the others, don't know. There was one on Buffelshoek this morning, so there are at least one there. There is at least one there. There might be two. I don't know. They're not particularly cohesive unit, or not obviously cohesive unit, these Birmingham boys. The other thing, Dave, can you get in on the far one there, on her hindquarters, her substantially powerful hindquarters there? Yes, she heard that, didn't you? Yes, you did. Sorry, I didn't mean it insultingly, I promise. There we are. You can see they're still spotted. And for those of you who were with us when we saw the cubs the other day, they're extensively spotted. And you can see the lionesses retain some of that spotting on their undersides. And she's a youngish one, that one there. Her nose completely pink, probably a juvenile, sort of two. I think she's about 3, if I'm not mistaken. Possibly born to the same litter as Junior, in which case she'd be 4. But I don't know them that well. Apparently my audio is getting high and low. I'm just checking my microphone. Geraldine, it all feels fine this end. Davey, are you getting that effect? Geraldine, I'm afraid it's from your side. Davey's monitoring it fine. And the other thing to show you around here, of course, David, if you would, is this magnificent spray of fine mud. There it is. Wouldn't you like to leap into that, everybody? Delicious. The lions aren't great wallowers, of course. They're much better sleepers than they are wallowers. Now, I think it's quite unusual that these Birmingham boys are so seldom together. It's not unusual for a coalition of 4 or so to split into groups of 2 and then come together when there's trouble. Dave, quickly, sorry, on the side of the water here we've got some pretty birds. There we are. Blue waxbills, everyone. Not very easy to see with the light the way it is, but that's what they are. Little blue waxbills, and I think you saw some with Brent earlier, and they're just having a little drink. So the Majingalan coalition, which is dominant largely in the western sectors of the Sabi Sand, they are also 4, and they tend to be sort of they're in 2s, and then when there's trouble they come together. I don't think that they're often in 1s like these guys are. And I find this quite interesting, and whether they'll manage to maintain this territory in the face of a threat, given how they do split up so much, I don't know. Time will tell, of course. Bernie, look to your right. I'm just helping Bernie to come in. Yeah, Wild Earth Girlie, you've obviously been watching for a while and you ask a very clever, valid question. Are there any signs of vultures around the place? There aren't, Wild Earth Girlie. I don't know why there aren't, other than to say, well, there are 2 reasons. One is that they've probably finished whatever it is that they killed, and two, of course, the vultures in this area, they're a little bit thin on the ground these days. There's just not that many of them, which is, of course, very sad. And somebody sent me through some wonderful information the other day, and about the fact that vultures are being killed by antibiotics and various chemicals that are given to cattle. And I think that is a major problem, but I think largely out here it's collection for the sort of traditional medicine trade. Flicking ears. Right, everybody, we don't have very long here. We're going to spend another 5 minutes here, and then we're going to have to move out because lots of people want to come and see them. I think we'll probably then come back a little bit later. One sec. Oh, look, Dave. Some buffalo there. Look at that, everyone. 2 buffalo. They won't be able to see these lions. They'll see us, though. This will be interesting. Right, stations 3 standbys now. Standby 1 is Mike, then Elvis, but whoever gets here first, I will move out as soon as you get here, then yours, then Tax. I will move out as soon as the next station gets here. That's very nice to see. Now, they won't come down to the water because of us. They'll be a little bit nervous of us now. Let's see what happens here. And then, like I say, what we'll do is come back here a little bit later. I think I'm pretty sure that one of these lactating females is the mother that we saw earlier this week. And Jess, you wondering about whether the missing lioness will guard the cubs or whether they'll be left alone. Jess, I'm 99% sure that they'll be left alone. They don't guard each other, the lionesses. They don't look after each other's youngsters. They're particularly poor at doing that sort of thing. And what they'll do is just leave the cubs in cover. Those cubs are now sort of 6 weeks old, the first ones that we saw. The others probably slightly younger than that. And they'll just be left in thick cover in a little cave, maybe if they can find one on the drainage lines, otherwise in some thick bush. And that's where they'll remain. And then these ones will go back. They're not like wild dogs. Wild dogs are probably the only species out here where there'll be a guard, where the adults will stay behind and look after them. 7 different places that the sun is reflecting off the water into my eyes, so I can hardly see what these buffalo are doing. But the lions have not reacted at all. Now, interestingly, the wind is blowing from the lions to the buffalo, and it might be why they're a bit weary, but I think they're a bit weary because of us. And Jen B, you want to know if they could smell the lions. I don't know. This is not based on any kind of knowledge, but I'm of the opinion that predators out here don't smell like we think they do. I'm sure they do have a scent, but I don't think that it's that easy to pick up, and I don't think it's that easy to pick up because there are animals out here that have evolved to hide their own scent. And I would have thought that something like a lion, which is an apex predator out here, didn't smell particularly to buffalo. So I don't know that they can smell them. They certainly, I mean, it's impossible to tell here. They're looking our way, but they could be just looking at us. Sorry, my eyes are now dying as a result of this reflection off the water. And the buffalo have now actually turned around facing the other way. And Carolyn, you ask a very, very good question about the water here. You've seen that it's green and grey and greasy, to quote Rudyard Kipling when he spoke of the Limpopo. And you say, how is it that animals are able to drink this without and be unaffected? Well, in much the same way that if you go to India, for example, people will tell you, don't you dare touch the water, don't eat anything that isn't cooked, because the water there is so bad it'll have your guts running for days. And indeed it will. But if you're an Indian and you're used to it and you've grown up there and your stomach has become used to the bacteria in the water, it doesn't affect you. It's exactly the same thing out here. So there's a lot of bacteria in this water. The buffalo go to the loo in it, the elephants go to the loo in it, and the fish go to the loo in it, as do many of the terrapins. But it doesn't affect them because they're used to it. That's how they've evolved. They haven't evolved to drink pristine clear water. Pristine clear water almost is unheard of out here, and so that's why they're not affected by it. Let's just go back and have a look at the lions, and if you consider what they're able to eat, I mean, these lions are able to eat things that would not only make your stomach turn, they make your nose turn, and it doesn't affect them. It's just the fact of the matter. The fact of the matter is that their digestive systems are so very different from ours, and so they're able to drink the most rancid kind of water and eat the most rancid kind of meat, because if they weren't able to do that, they couldn't survive in an area like this. And it's one of the reasons that human beings, modern human beings, would really struggle to survive in an area like this without, well, you know, just living off the land. It's a good question, though. And the elephants don't like this water. They will drink it if they have to, but they will reject it out of hand if there is freshly pumped water. And it's one of the reasons they take the trouble to dig up pipes, so they can feel water flowing underneath the roads and in the pipes, and they will absolutely dig them up and suck the water dry, because they don't like to drink this kind of disgusting green muck, pea soup created by the dung of so many other animals. Here come the buffalo. They're just coming up now to the water, and then you might be able to see the hippo with them. It's quite fun. I might take a picture, David. Are you looking forward to seeing it?
Indeed.
I think you're lying, David. I don't believe you're looking forward to seeing it in the slightest. David is my strongest critic, everybody. Brian in Philadelphia, very nice question from you. You say predators are opportunistic, lions are opportunistic hunters. Even though they're so full, would they consider hunting these buffalo? The answer is yes. If they got close enough, absolutely they would. But whether they get close enough or not, I don't know. The other thing to notice, or to note, Brian, is that although they could get close enough, a buffalo bull is not to be trifled with unless you're pretty hungry. And you'll find that these lions will be very weary of taking on a buffalo bull at the best of times. When they're full and in the middle of the day, I think they'll definitely think twice about it. I'm not sure that they'd have a go. There are all the oxpeckers and things. Wonderful. Very peaceful scene on one side of the dam, or a pretty peaceful scene on the other side of the dam too. Just much less active. Lurking, the lions. I'd be interested to know if these buffalo are able to sense them or not. I'm not convinced they would be able to until they saw them. David, I've so far failed to take anything worthwhile of a photograph. It's so tricky, David, especially with my skills. One more. With the geese. No, dreadful effort. I just took it for the sake of it. One day, everyone, one day, I shall achieve greatness. Yeah, and astounding number of flies, they're reflecting in the sun, and I find that the only time I feel like it's an attractive sight when there's a buffalo is when there are flies all over the place. And everybody seems to be leaving, so I think we can probably stay. I think everyone's leaving, might just be us. There are stations, there's no need to stand by, you can all pull straight in. 2 stations are leaving, I will leave as soon as there's 3 vehicles here. Ooh, Dave, sorry, the heron there, which has just landed, has managed to catch something. You can just see something in his beak there. He may have swallowed it already. Yeah, maybe not. He looked like he had something in his mouth. And the buffalo have gone. The lions didn't pick them up. The buffalo didn't pick the lions up. And so often, you know, you see a scene like that and you think, oh goodness, here we go, there's high action about to happen. And then it all just kind of fades gently, which I think is quite nice actually, especially if you happen to be an old buffalo bull who's managed to get that far in life. Not very nice to be set upon by 5 lions on a Saturday afternoon, just before you go down to the pub. That's a really pretty picture, David, I think. You don't think so? David's not so artsy, you see. I'm so artsy that I could see the artistry in it. There we go. Come on, David. Eh? Is that not pretty? It's quite 80s. You can see they are doing nothing now. Nothing at all. Absolutely nothing. Right, I'm going to spend another 5 minutes here, everybody. If I sit around these lions for too long, I'll fall asleep. But while we're doing that, let's go across to Brent, get an update from him as to what's going on Cheetah Plains.
So unfortunately it looks like quarantine has continued to the south. He's visiting the southern climes. So we've made our way now towards the edge of the open areas, and we're going to go towards possibly my favorite spot. Actually not possibly, my favorite spot on Cheetah Plains. And that is the area around Buff Pan. Now, we've got those reddish soils, we've got slightly different trees, or the same trees that are growing slightly differently. This is also the favorite hangout for Nkanyeni. She hasn't been seen in about 3 days or 4 days. She was last seen heading southeast from Nkoro into the Kruger. So there is a possibility she might come back through this area we're going to go check now. And I would love to see that leopard. She is, I think, my favorite female leopard we see on Safari Live, so I'd love to catch up with her. Now, there's a possibility she might have lost a cub. And with quarantine, spending a lot of time in this area, he's more than likely the culprit. But we have been proved wrong before, so I'd love to be proved wrong again, or everyone to be proved wrong, and that the cub just didn't feel like being seen the last couple of times she was seen. So we're going to go check through here, down past the edge of this open area, down towards Buff Pan. And it doesn't look like anyone's driven here today yet, so lovely. We should have a nice, fresh set of sand to look at for tracks, devoid of motorized vehicle tracks. Well, devoid of motorized vehicle tracks from today. Rephrase that. Now the wind is quite strong here down on the plains, and Jandre and I have already put our jerseys on. check carefully for tracks. As I said, quite windy, so we're not likely to see many zebra or wildebeest or other animals, but you never know what could be out there. Hi, Heidi. Heidi is in Kempton Park, South Africa. And Heidi would like to know, how did Quarantine the male leopard get his name? It is quite a strange name for a leopard. So outside Djuma, and outside the camps, there's a big open area called the Quarantine Clearing. Now, in days gone by, it was an area that was used to quarantine cattle before they were moved out of the area. So that's where it gets its name from. So there's been many attempts at cattle farming in this area, and it's proven quite often to be very unproductive. Lions being the main culprit, and so cattle farming was abandoned probably in the 50s. But before that, that area, those clearings there were used to quarantine cattle before they were moved. And after he became independent from his mother, Karula, the queen, he spent a lot of time hanging around Quarantine. So that's where he got his name. Quite often, depending on where you are, leopard names are generally either an identifying feature or an area that they frequent. Now, up here in the north, that's not so common. They generally get given other names like Karula, which means peaceful, or Tingana, which means shy. But for a great example, this is the Anderson male. He was discovered on the property that's named Anderson when he was a young male, when he was independent from his mom. And so, especially if I think down to the further south where I've worked quite a lot, you've got, when I was there, you had Camp Pan, which is the male, because when he was independent, he spent a lot of time at Camp Pan. You had Vomba female, because she hung around the Vomba Dam when she was newly independent from her mom. Had Sunset Bend female, because she used to hang around the Sunset Bend clearings. And then we had the 3-4 female, because that was her spot pattern, 3-4. So it all depends. Everywhere has got a slightly different way and routine of naming leopards. This is the area I wanted to check very carefully. Beautiful, beautiful area around us here. Lots of big leadwoods and jackalberries in this little open river system here. So a magnificently large gardenia, which we're about to drive under. And you see just up ahead there, those are the solar panels for the water pump. There we go, as we swing past. And here's this gloriously large gardenia that we're going to disappear under. Let's just make sure no leopards, no leopards in the gardenia. There we go, John Ray giving a beautiful tree, one of my favorites. Now, due to the drought, they haven't flowered this year, but when they do flower, they are quite spectacular. Beautiful yellow and white flowers. Now, the next spot where... Oh, hello. Yeah, I thought it was a drag mark. Elephant's dragging a stick. Now, the next spot we're going to check is the spot where Dave and I, on a cold, windy afternoon, came across pangolin. So it's also the same area that we are checking for in Kanyeni. And actually, the first time I saw her was not on SafariLIVE. I had friends who are out from the States and they just got married. Here we go. You spotted it, Jean-Andre? A purple roller, or a rufous-crowned roller, another name. So our two resident roller species in this part of the Sabi Sands is the purple and the lilac-breasted. I'm trying to get a little bit closer. Hopefully it doesn't fly. Oops. Now, that is literally the only living soul we're seeing out on the open plains at the moment. How's that, Chandra? There he is. distinct little white eye stripe there. Now, purple, not really bright purple, more of a mauve, I would guess. And you can see they're a predatory bird, a little hook on the beak. Great devourers of insects, small lizards, geckos, even small snakes. And occasionally tiny, tiny rodents. Now, this is not great hunting weather for the roller either, and it's not looking too comfortable. So there's this little river system that runs from Buff Pan, and Kanyeni has used it quite often to stash the cubs in and to hunt around. Now I'm hoping that this area that's normally got quite a few impala and things like that around is where she might be. Just want to check this game park. And oh, there's a Birchall starling. I presume that was what you spotted, Andre. There we go, you can see that lovely iridescence shining off its feathers. Now, if you're a female starling, you look for the most iridescent male to be your mate. Now, they're probably hunting for termites out in this open plain. And where have they gone now? There are some other birds also hunting for termites out on the open wind-swept plains. And there's some yellow-balled hornbills about. I don't know where they've gone to. Oh, there's a very pretty bird, John Doe. Just going to move forward a bit. Oh no, he might come to us. You see him? No, not the hornbills, there's a little bee-eater. Okay, where'd he go? That log on the ground, on the far right side of it. I just want to get him past the tree. You got him. Very, very pretty little bird. A little bee-eater. Gorgeous little creature. See that lovely little powder blue eye stripe? Taken quite some time doing its makeup today. Whoop. And they'll often land right back on the same perch when they do that. Oh, he got something. Oh, it's gone. Now, and he's going to not land. Oh, not land back on the same perch this time. Ah. So, little bee-eater. And speaking of brightly coloured birds, Brock was wondering, do we get any kingfishers here? We do. Our resident kingfisher species are the insectivorous kingfisher species, and we have two that are resident throughout the year, and it is the striped kingfisher and the brown-hooded kingfisher. But during the summer months, we get the beautiful woodlands kingfisher, the grey-headed kingfisher, and when there's water in the dams, we get pied and sometimes even giant kingfishers as well. There's the yellow-billed hornbill, scuttling about, also hunting for termites. Oh, off it goes. Andres, the bird's not liking you today. But let's continue on. Lovely, lovely creatures, birds, and they're always about. There's always something to see out here in the African bush. And I just want to have a quick look at this little river here, to see if there are any tracks. Now, when I say river, that's quite a strong word. It's sort of a little dry stream there. There's a pair of them, Jean-Andre. Now, you've got to always look out. You've got them? No. Oh, there's one. And the other one's on the little branch to there. There's two back. They went back. Oh. There we go. Now, you've always got to be mindful. Very rare in this area is a bird called a swallowtail bee-eater, which looks quite similar, but it's got a much deeper fork in the tail and slightly different coloration. And I've only ever seen them once in the Sabi Sands, and it would be a great coup to see another one, I do feel. They are absolutely gorgeous. Now, the bee-eaters are one of my favorite bird families, and I've been lucky enough to see almost all the bee-eaters that occur in Africa. But Asia's also got some absolutely gorgeous bee-eaters. not only basking in the sun, but also keeping a sharp lookout for any potential snacks. Whoop, like that. And you see how it beat its prey against the stick? Now, that's where they get their name from, because they do feed off honeybees. Now, our normal standard honeybee is the African killer bee, and so they will beat the bees to death so they don't get stung. Oh,
Coming back.
there's one closer to us. You got him? There we go. Now, in winter months, it's not uncommon to see sometimes 7 or 8 little bee eaters huddled together for warmth. Actually, let me just have a look. I might have an example of that. There we go. So, especially in the early mornings, before it gets warm, and the bee eaters will roost in little flocks. Exquisite little creature. Come on, John, you're going to catch a kill. See, I was constantly watching. Oh, there's the next one back. Who's got a kill? Yep, down the gullet. I'm just going to roll, Jean-Ray, to get that one pesky branch out of the way. Oh, there we go. Oh, sorry about that. There we go. Oh, and that quite often they have favorite roosts that they hunt from. They'll quite often fly, and they'll have normally about 5 or 6 different favorite roosts in an area. Oh, off they both go. Are they going to come back? No. But there we go. I was talking about how in the winter months they like to huddle when they sleep for warmth. And there's a lovely example of, how's that, John-Ray? John-Ray's going to, there we go. There's, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 little bee eaters huddled together for warmth. And then that other bee eater that's quite rare in South Africa is the swallow-tailed bee eater. And let me just find, there we go, you can see. It's a very similar size, but you can see a much deeper fork in the tail, and the coloration is slightly different. Okay, well, let's continue. That was a lovely little sighting of those birds. They are absolutely gorgeous. Not to be confused with the blue-breasted bee eater of Central Africa. About the same size, fills the same ecological niche as the little bee eater. We're just checking for tracks around here. Not yet. This part of the world, this is sort of ideal leopard habitat. Open plains leading right up to a little river system like this. It's got some bigger trees that if a leopard was... What have you spotted? Oh, there we go. John-Ray spotted a lilac-breasted roller. And that reminds me, we had a question about rollers, specifically about the broad-balled roller. And that was from the Armchair Traveller. Now, broad-balled rollers are, in theory, they occur here, and not at this time of the year, though. They've already migrated further north. But I've seen them in the Sabi Sands, but unfortunately only generally around the Sand River or big river systems. And we don't have any major river systems here. There is always a possibility one might come visit the Mawati during a really good rainy year, but normally they like to stay around the bigger rivers, and that's the broad-billed roller.
Still the screen? Hello? Yeah.
Here we go. Also a beautiful bird. Okay, we're going to check a little bit further. The Kruger National Park lies just on the edge of this open area, and we won't be trespassing there. Just try and check carefully. Oh dear, dearie, dearie me. Poor Wendy, to use the exact words, what do you see? Poor Wendy, what's that there? Oh, it's an impala, I think. Shall I just have a look at the camera quickly? Just on the edge of the Kruger boundary, sort of there. Yes, it is a female impala. More than one female impala. Sorry, distracted there. I thought there might be something interesting. So the exact words described to me, Wendy has ceased to function. She is leaking profusely, and Wiem, aka the wildebeest Doornbank, is on his way to rescue James, and hopefully we'll be able to get that fixed in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail. So alas, no tracks along this little river system. Now, we've been chatting quite a lot of birds, and the birds have been giving us some very lovely views, the Sunset Safari. And Ashley in Missouri is wondering about the Amma falcon because she's just watched the hunt. And the Amma falcon is a tiny little bird that migrates about 14,000 miles. They're not going to land, are they? Oh dear. No, they are keeping on flying. Some little fly catchers. So, Ashley, we do get Amma falcons here, and we've seen them on drive on numerous occasions. Now, they get very big congregations in the center of South Africa in the big open grasslands, because their favorite foods are insects, and the big open grasslands provide more insects. Now, we've even seen a European hobby falcon, another migrant, on the live drives. Only once so far, as well as I know. And I was with you, Jean-Andre, I think, yes. I put Jean-Andre into a flat spin. We were sitting next to lions, and I was like, don't forget the lions, European hobby falcon, as it flew across. It's not something you see every day out here. Lions, we'd be seeing them. Now look what I have spied with my little eye from quite some distance. And we're going to race back there. They're going to be quite disappointed when they get there, I'm afraid. There's a little breeding herd of buffalo heading towards the Cheetah Plains pan. But they're going to find it very dry. They're probably going to head towards 3 in a row pan next. Now, you'll notice, even at this distance, the lack of young babies. The drought is not good if you're a very small buffalo. Luckily for them, water is not far beyond that. We're going to do the long loop around, make sure we don't miss any cheetah. I think we should hit 3 in a row pan at about the same time as the buffalo. Now, Jean-Andre, what do you think is going to be on the big open plains of the Cheetah Plains open area? Jean-Andre thinks grass. I think there's probably less grass than birds at the moment. But yes, we always, of course, hope for cheetah and ostriches and other creatures. We've got another bird party. There we go. That's another yellow-billed hornbill. We've seen one of them already. If we come across to the right, making lots of noise. There, all over the place, is the arrow-marked babbler. You can hear them babbling. they fly off. Yeah, babble, babble, babble. Now, are we on super zoom genre? There we go. You can just see those little white spots on their chest, and that gives them the name. They look like little arrow marks. That's where they get their name from, the arrow marks on their chest, and of course, their incessant babbling. And now at the top of the marula tree is a Cape glossy starling. But there we go, beautiful, beautiful bird. But quite nice and easy to identify. Chandra, in the road, there's a conundrum for people to work out. So just on the ground, just zoom a little bit up to the left a little. You see him there? A little bit more left. That's a bird. There we go.
Not in the road.
Yes, it was in the road. Ha. Ooh, that's a tricky one. That is a nice, difficult bird for our birders to identify. I wonder who can tell me what bird that is. If you know what that bird is, why don't you send me the answer to questions@wildearth.tv or use the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. Now remember to look at a lot of the diagnostic features. That very prominent white eye stripe. And look at the shape of the bird, and it's definitely a ground feeding bird. You can see it is on. Oh, Chandra, bless you. Excuse you.
Thank you.
And oh, I think this could fox a few people. I will let you think about that. I'm sure you've got some screenshots to work off. Now off to the bird box. The light is just fantastic at the moment. It's so beautiful. Now, we're going to do one last perusal of the open plans before we head towards 3 in a row pan, hopefully to catch up with those buffalo as they drink. And then after that, I think we might start heading back to the northwest towards Juma, just in case Wendy doesn't come alive again, so we can get to those lions before dark and before they must possibly move and start roaring. And I think time is on our side so far. Jonathan says it's obviously an African worm gobbler. Now, Jonathan, I think you might be incorrect there, but Jonathan is of course making a joke. There's no such thing as an African worm gobbler, although it would be quite a good name for a hardy-dar, and that's their favorite food. With their long beaks, they probe into the soil and draw out earthworms. Let's just go look if we can see any tracks. Alas, no sign of any big cats coming visiting from the Kruger. Okay. And let me just get my birds on a roll again here. Now, Gracie, who's 8 years old and a long-time Safari Live fan, would like to know if it was one of her favorite birds, the cinnamon bun bird. Not a bad guess at all, Gracie. It could have been a female cinnamon bun bird. And the cinnamon bun bird is also known in other parts as the cinnamon-breasted bunting, but here at Safari Live we only know it as the cinnamon bun bird. But here we go. That is the cinnamon bun bird, but it wasn't a cinnamon bun bird, but it was a very good guess, Gracie. And I think you were looking at those white eye stripes and thinking it might be that your favorite bird. Very good guess, very close, because it is indeed a seed eater and a ground feeder. Well done, Gracie. You're going to be a much better birder when you're older than most people who've been birding for many years. So now we're at the vast open, the main open area at Cheetah Plains, and I'm afraid it is devoid of anything apart from a Swanson spurfowl and a couple of hornbills. There we go. There's a Swanson spurfowl. Also after probably termites out in the open area. Now it is a same family as the Franklins, but the birds known as spurfowls will have open skin on their face. You can see that red skin, and you can see very prominent spurs sticking out of the back of their legs that they use for fighting when they're competing for mating rights. There you go. Peck, peckety, peck, peck. Just go out again, just beyond the. Okay, zoom. You see there's a. You see where that hornbill is? Just to the right of that hornbill. On the ground, a little bit more to the right. Another little bird. Zoom in there around that wildebeest dung. Oh, where's it gone? I think it's made a departure. No, it's escaped. Okay, well, let's continue on. Bye-bye, Swansons. No cheetahs today. So we've had another guess in, the African pipit. I'm afraid it is not a pipit. Now pipits have a much longer bill and they stand more direct. I'll show you what a pipit looks like in a second. And pipit. So pipits, there we go, you can see the whole family of them. And they sit a lot higher than that one did. Now, if you go look at the beak shape was also different. There's the African pipit. Beak shape was also different, and it didn't have the face mask. It only had the top there. It is a very difficult bird, I'm not going to lie. I think it's probably one of the more difficult birds I've ever given you guys to identify on Safari Live. Just hang on. But we have some very, very clever people out there, and I'm just going to ask Final Control to give me their names again. Who said it was a yellow-throated Petronia. So Rob and Joanne, you were spot on. Yellow-throated Petronia. So it's a sparrow, and oopsie. So not always do they have that little yellow spot. There we go. So there we go, that yellow-throated Petronia, very well done. That is definitely one of the more difficult birds I've ever given to you guys to identify on Safari Live. So Robert and Joanne, very, very well done. Now, James wants to talk to you from the incapacitated Wendy, so let's go see what he has to say.
Everybody, I have some bad and tragic news. The bad and tragic news is not that I've gone rogue and turned into a baboon, for I was a baboon before. In fact, the bad news is that Wendy is out of commission. The recalcitrant old battle axe that she is has given up the spook, is no longer, is dead, is expired, and will hopefully spontaneously combust at any second now. The clutch has gone. No doubt once it is fixed, something else will go as well, and frankly it's very frustrating, and I must apologize on behalf of Wendy for the lack of her mobility. David, of course, is still sitting on the back of her. I am sitting precariously in a Combretum apiculatum tree. I was going to attempt to get up here, but you can see that that would have been a foolhardy exercise, and indeed could possibly have resulted in my own demise. Stranded upon the same way that Wendy is. Let's examine the tree for a little while.
Audio's dipping.
What?
Audio's dipping, you're too far away.
Oh, I can't really move, David.
Sorry, I can't come any closer, James.
Can you hear me?
Every now and then, yes.
And now if I talk very loudly?
No,
Hopeless.
yes.
Back, Brent?
I would imagine.
Can you hear me now?
Only in bits, James.
What about now? Oh, right, let's go across to Brent. Sorry, everybody. We'll try and do better next time. Auf Wiedersehen.
So we've just been sitting here on the open plains, and I thought I spotted something. I could be wrong. I think it might be another stick cheetah, unfortunately. But we're going to ask Jean-Ray to have a double look. And there's a game drive vehicle going past. So he might not have spotted it, but is it? No, it's a stick cheetah. Another one to add to the list of many stick cheetahs that occur here on the open area. Now, I'm watching that. He's not driving at a speed enough to warrant our investigation. He's just, like we're doing, he's bumbling around the open area, trying to see what's about. Let's make our way back towards a 3-in-a-row pan. So, we started off with quite the cat bang, lion and leopard. And since we've been down at Cheetah Plains, we've been doing some good birding, some nice variation as we continue on. Hi, Abby in Ohio. Abby says we've been seeing a lot of baby cats. Now, baby cats can give birth at any time of the year. They do not have a set breeding season, but it's quite lucky for us they have it this time of the year because, well, for two reasons. It's a really great time to be a little predator because there's a lot of food about, and it is a drought, so the animals that their parents prey upon are easier to catch. But then also, it's easier for us to find them, to track them. But Abby wants to know, at what age are we going to start seeing the wild dog pups moving around with the adults? Normally by as early as 3 months, but normally around 4 months, so they start hunting very far from the den with the adults. So they're normally born early June, so probably August, September. We might get lucky a little bit earlier, but normally August, September is when we're going to start seeing them racing around with the adults. Now we're going to go see if we can track those probably very disgruntled buffalo that trekked Cheetah Plains Pan to find no water. But I'm pretty sure they would have headed next to 3-in-a-row pan. I hope they haven't gone straight north. They might have, towards the next set of pans and then coral. But I'll see shortly from their tracks which way they went. Oh dear. Looks like they went north, but we've got to check Cheetah Plains pan anyway. Good news, James has found some interesting artifacts around the incapacitated Wendell. So let's go see what he's found.
Right, everybody, I have found some muck. And in this muck, because all muck out here has got interesting things in it, there is an egg. I'm just going to hold it there. You see it, David?
Yes.
And from my angle, because the sun is behind it, I can see that there still is something in it, but there are holes in the egg which indicate to me that something else has got in there. I don't know what kind of an egg it is. I'm going to suspect it's something like a gecko egg, but how many eggs must not make it to fruition, I think, is astounding, because that's probably been perforated maybe by a termite that was living in this mound. This is a piece of termite mound comes from this array of dead trees here. And what they'll do is that I guess these termites kind of set up like a temporary camp. The main mound, I don't know, Dave, can you see it there? It's just beyond the sort of pile of dead things on the right-hand side there. Yeah. I think that's the main mound. And, well, it's certainly part of the main mound. It's quite possible that the colony that made this is that same colony from that huge mound over that side. I don't really know. But they make these kind of temporary refuges in the area where they're gathering the food, because there are no termites left in here. And if you look at that, you can see hundreds of little tunnels that go through here. And this, I suspect, was probably dug up by elephants. Not sure why they dig them up. I think they probably just come up when the roots of the trees get broken up. Anyway, that's really all I have to tell you about this. I'll try and see if I can find something else inside it while we wait for Brent to find something deeply exciting. Viam is coming to rescue us. He said he was just having a picnic on the way. There we go. The one thing you don't want to find out here while you're talking and trying to present is a scorpion, because the scorpion will, of course, then pick you or bite you, and you will say a bad word while live, and that would, of course, be terrible, wouldn't it, David?
Yes,
especially on a Saturday afternoon. Nothing else in here of any interest whatsoever. I'll try and find something else, shall I, David?
Yes, David.
All right, come with me then. Obviously, I can't move within a greater radius than this. Now, if you could actually, if you were a fine naturalist, you could probably take an hour-long walk in an area just where the range of this microphone is. Here we have some dung. I know that many of you have seen this dung before. It is impala dung, a very fine vintage of impala dung, quite small. A small impala would have made this dung, of course. And I think on a Saturday afternoon, it is always a good idea to engage in traditional South African sports. Many of you will know of the sport bok, drol, spoeg. A bok meaning a goat, a drol meaning one of these, and to spoeg, of course, means to spit. David, you and I are now going to compete at bok, drol, spoeg.
Bring it on.
Right. That means we are going to see how far we are able to spit the dung of the bokdrol. Where should we spit it to, David? That way, out there. Okay, you will go first.
Right.
I will allow you the 2 feet from where you are sitting as an advantage.
Ready?
Ready. Very good, David. Here is where your bokdrol landed.
Strong wind, James.
It's a strong wind, yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 size 7s from the back end of the vehicle. I will now try myself. I'm taking the victory on that one. I'll give you another try.
All right. No, I got it.
You've got one.
Yes.
Okay, here we go again, everybody.
All right, here we go.
This wasn't much better, David. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. size 7s from the vehicle.
Not just show me.
I'm shortly to beat him to duck. Hopeless. Anyway, that's Bokdraw Spook, everyone. Wonderful game. You can't see down here, can you?
I can.
Here is a hole that belongs...
Only just.
Only just.
Appeared, yeah.
So just below my hand here is a hole that belongs to a bushveld gerbil. Now the bushveld gerbil seems to be in residence. There are tracks all the way around the outside that you can't see. I'd love to be able to show you, but I can't move this foul vehicle that is Wendy. See what else we can find around here. Ah, now, I told you we'd be able to find lots of things. This is an amazing grass called the three-awn grass, and it is completely inedible to animals, and that's why it's one of the last grasses that you can find out here. This one, particular one, I think, is called Aristida junciformis. No, it's not junciformis, it's another one of the Aristidas. But it's called a three-awn because if you pull out the seed, hey, that's quite nice in the sun. You see how the seed has got 3 awns. Those are those 3 spikes on it, and it is thrown to the wind, and the wind doth take the seed all over the wilderness, whereupon it doth grow when the soil conditions are favourable. Tastes like straw. There you are, David.
Thank you, John.
You may have a taste of that. Not brilliant, is it? No. Not too unpleasant. It's just completely full of structural material, and that's why you'll find these around where there's no other grass. All right, let's see what else we can see. We have a very small radius, everyone. Very small radius indeed. Oh, the ubiquitous Waltheria, let us not forget. Last of the summer flowers. Always nostalgic to see the last of the summer anything, really. That's what this is here. Last of the summer flowers. They're all dead. Absolutely no smell. I tell you what, David, while we're in the business of putting things in our mouth, why don't you have a taste of that?
Oh, thank you, James.
I'll let Dave do it first, see if he dies. Not dead yet, no. Really pretty tasteless, isn't it? Yes, not good. Okay, that's Waltheria. Many spiders living on Waltheria. I'm assuming Brent has found nothing yet.
He is on his way back from Cheetah Plains.
He's on his way back from Cheetah Plains. Okay, well, here's something quite nice. Can you see here, David?
Yes, sir.
This is a green thorn, everybody, a torchwood, a Balanites magami, there's another word for it as well. Anyway, it's that big tree over there is probably the parent tree of this one, and this one has been devoured by elephants. And I'll show you now why it's called the green thorn. David, do you have any guesses as to why it might be called the green thorn?
Does it have green thorns?
It does, David. It has got green thorns on it. Well done. Well done. And there, everybody, are the green thorns of Balanites magami, the green thorn. And I mentioned this the other day when speaking of another tree. I think it was Gymnosporia buxifolia. Marvellous name, just to say, Gymnosporia buxifolia. But this particular tree has got a stem that photosynthesizes. So normally, if you look at a tree, it's just the leaves that are green and full of chlorophyll, which helps them to photosynthesize and make carbohydrates from water and air. In this case, not so much. It's also the thorns, hence a green thorn, David, and the stems, which photosynthesize, which is very clever, especially if you're a young tree, because it means you don't have to leaves before you can make food. Right, next thing. Over here, we have Albizia harveyi, the common false thorn. And David, do you have any idea why it would be called a false thorn?
Because it's false?
No. It's because it doesn't have thorns, but looks like it could have...
Thorns.
That's right, false thorn. So it looks like an acacia tree, which it is not. It is inescapably without thorns. An acacia tree, were I to do this over its branches, blood would stream forth from my fingers, which would be very unattractive. This particular one is the common false thorn. You can see my eyes looking through it now. It is very good for elephants. They like to eat it. That is why it's in such a pathetic little size like it is there. And in some areas it grows very large indeed. And on the drainage lines there's a lovely false thorn called the large fruited false thorn, Albizia forbesii. And we found George and Charlotte living in one of them not too long ago. Anyway, that's the false thorn. Disgusting, doesn't taste of anything very nice at all. It's also used, the roots are used as an anthelmintic. Anthelmintic, of course, meaning a medicine that is able to get rid of intestinal worms. And I don't know how many of you watched when VM and I found Sandile the other day. He had a very large intestinal worm that he vomited up. It was about this long, so next time we see him, I think we'll give him some roots of an albizia tree. Right, that's that one. Over here, Geraldine, you're seriously testing me. Over here we have the flaky thorn, Acacia exuvialis, and it is called exuvialis. I remember it because it's exfoliate. You can see that the bark is flaking off. And the best part of this tree, if you find it at the right time of the year, and I think I may have found one here. Have a look over here, everyone. Here's the bark, and look into this thorn. You can see a hole. You see the hole there?
The hole in the center?
The hole over there.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now in there, I suspect, is a slender ant. They like to live in these thorns. So let me just open it up for you and see. No. No slender ant. Why would there be? Right, Brent Leo Smith seems to be back on Djuma. That is good news. I hear the sounds of the rescue party on their way. Hopefully next time I speak with you, we will be mobile. See you shortly.
So, James is blessed with many skills. Mechanically is not one of them, and neither am I for that matter. But hopefully between VM and Opar they'll be able to sort it out. So you're back with us. We're trying to race to Djuma. We've unfortunately just got one little spot, but we should be able to have you for almost the whole way and only disappear for a couple of seconds as we dip through the bottom. But it is such a beautiful evening, and we're going to start making our way towards those lions at Buffelshoek Dam, and maybe as it gets later they're going to start moving. So hold on.
Sorry about this, everyone.
And we're back! So quickly through the dip. We're now about to approach Cheetah Cut Line, so we're going to be back on Djuma in a matter of seconds, literally. And I'm just going to jump on. I've been on the Eastern Game Drive channel, of course down on Cheetah Plains. I'm now going to jump onto the Northern Game Drive channel and find out what's happening with those lions. Oh, there's something going on ahead of us. Let me just go onto the Eastern channel and find out. Sorry guys, a second. Wonder what they're looking at. Station Gary Main, just to the west of Chitwell Driveway. Copy, thanks very much. I wonder what it is. Now, this is the thing about certain creatures. The moment you try to predict what they're going to do, they can prove you wrong. And we're about to show you an example of that. And earlier on this drive, we had Karula going southwest, away from here. Now we're back to the northeast, and she's popped up next to our southern boundary. Maybe she is coming north. There she is. You got it, Jean-Ray? So, oop, there. A little bit to the right. A bit more. Looks like she's just made a kill as well. Keep coming. There we go. Zoom. Look at that. She's killed an impala, an adult impala. So she's come the opposite direction from where we saw her a few minutes ago. I mean, a few minutes ago, an hour or so ago. She is to the south of our boundary. Now, I can't see any of the cubs are here yet. Sorry guys, I'm just going to be on the radio for a second. Those cubs were born 2nd of Feb, so 5 months. In the north we have been putting 2 vehicles in. Oh, cubs are here. Where are they, Jean-Ray? I don't see them.
One's head popped up behind the carcass.
Oh, one's head popped up behind the carcass. I started looking everywhere. So it is a big impala. Now that is a bit of a problem due to the fact that it's going to be too heavy for her to hoist into a tree until she's maybe removed the stomach. So, oh, there's the cub there. You can just see it to the left of her. Now it is closing on sunset. The kill is on the ground. So we're not going to spend much time here. We'll just try to get one view of the cubs, a decent one, and then we'll make space for the next vehicle. Look at that. We'll try to see the cubs, but as you know, we don't stay with leopard kills on the ground, and we don't stay with cubs after about 10 minutes from now. The sun is getting quite low, and of course we want to give her the best chance of eating, and the cubs eating as much as possible, because a big impala on the ground like this is a very, very good chance that hyenas might steal it, and the fact that it's so close to Gowrie Main, which is a virtual hyena highway. I'm just going to try and move a little bit so we can see if we can spot a cub. Thanks very much, Joe. I'll be out in 2 minutes and make space for people. Thanks. Okay, we're just going to try and get a view of the cubs. Okay, so she's just behind that tree there, and the cubs seem to be feeding this side, so let's go around. There should be a nice open gap coming. Jean-Ray, let me yelp if you see a baby. There we go, we should get a view of them from here, maybe. Yes, there they are, both of them. So I'm just going to the right slightly. I'm just trying to move so there's no stick. There we go. I saw the other one just off behind her. So both are there. I can't see if that's the little male or female yet. Now maybe it is possible, we didn't see any blood on her face earlier, but she might have been heading to fetch the cubs to bring them to this kill. Hello, little greedy guts. Yum, 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 yum. Fresh impala. I hope you guys are getting some fantastic screenshots when the little one looks away from its kill, or from its mom's kill. Isn't that gorgeous light? Andre, you think this is the best spot, or should I try forward a little bit? Try to get past that branch. What do you think? Let's just try sneak past the branch. There we go. I think there's a gap between those two little strychnos now. Isn't this absolutely gorgeous? They're such perfect little miniature versions of the adult. You can see how it's using it. Oh, look at that. Red lipstick for Saturday night out on the town, so it must be the little girl. I think I actually can't see. I'm just joking. Now the other one is just behind her, and you can see Krula is very aware about what's around her. Not only could she lose this kill to hyenas, she could easily lose it to another male leopard as well. So it seems like Saturday Catterday has not let us down again. Oh, nice big piece there. So I will stay for as long as we can. So we've probably got another couple of minutes till the next vehicle comes. And how lucky were we, just accidentally bumped into them. I saw a car on the road. They looked to be staring a bit too intently into the bush to be in a nyala there. Now, not very far from here, I've just heard on the radio, is Tundi's, not more than 500 meters from here. I just got to be on the game drive radio for a second. Any other station also interested in the sighting, as soon as you get close, I'll move out for you as well. Here's the other cub. That's the female. That looks, I just saw from, it looks like that's the little female, the little male's still eating. Isn't this incredible? And you can see she is opening the stomach where she's eating a piece of the lower intestine at the moment. She will try to get that stomach out and enable her to hopefully make that carcass light enough for her to carry up a tree. There you go, you can see the impala pellets falling out. That's the lower intestine. And she pushes the dung out and eats the lining. She is very aware. Oh, isn't that beautiful, the light on her face. Okay. What have they heard? So you guys just got to be on the radio. Yeah, Sinead, as soon as you close, I'll make space. So we're quite lucky. The others were quite far away because we happened to sort of trip over the sighting rather than call ourselves in for it. So thanks to Joe and everyone else for giving us a chance to view our favorite queen and her gorgeous cubbies. Now, Tom in Dallas is wondering about energy expended and energy gained. So what is the ratio? Tom, I would be lying if I said I knew the exact ratio, but leopards and lions have about a 12 to 15% success rate. So my maths is horrific, but I'm sure someone who's a bit smarter than me could work it out from there. She heard something, and so did the cubs. Ah, it was a francolin. Okay, guys, we're going to have to move out now to give the other vehicles a chance to come in here. And we'll definitely come check here first thing in the morning again. So let's have one last look at the little male cub feeding away. And there's Mom, and off we go. Wasn't that exciting, isn't it? Aren't we lucky this evening? Okay, well, you know, sometimes you have tough choices to make, or lovely choices to make. We're going to make space, give someone else a chance to see Karula before it gets dark, and while we do that, or we're going to head off to some lions next. Leaving Joe with Karula, so Sean, make your way straight in, and Sinead as well. Thanks very much, Joe. So let's go see how James' afternoon's going on the Wendy.
My afternoon is going inescapably worse than Brent Leo Smith's afternoon is going. As you can see in front of us, a rescue party of the Mahindra. And in the Mahindra is the bushwalk backpack, and there is Brian Joubert. You can see the... the first officer of the rescue vehicle. The captain of the rescue vehicle is Willem Durenbrak, and he, of course, well, he's driving, and he thought he would be able to fix Wendy. Unfortunately, I'm not sure that even God could fix Wendy at this stage of her existence, and so we're going to be dragged all the way home. But really, very wonderful that you saw Karula, and I just want to share with you the experience that we had earlier today. We were sitting in the Mulwati drainage line earlier on it. I had just bought a camping chair, you see, my first purchase of the camping chair, and so I thought I'd test it out in the drainage line. So there I was sitting, and I dozed off completely, and I woke up with the feeling that something was looking at me. And I looked up, and there was Karula, not 6 meters away from me, just standing in the drainage line. She'd obviously been coming up the drainage and then seen me and decided she'd go past me, and she'd gone up onto the bank and she'd stopped and she was looking at me. And I opened my eyes, and there was the Queen staring at me, and I opened my eyes and she saw me open my eyes, and she waited for a little while, and then she just sauntered off up past the bank and off, and we heard some Impala alarm calling, one of whose cousins has clearly just met its end, unfortunately for that. Anyway, it was the most wonderful experience. So although I'm having what can only be described as a subpar experience at the moment, as the dust from the Mahindra fills my nostrils and my mouth, and indeed my ears and every other orifice of my body, at least we did have that really wonderful, wonderful experience of Karula earlier today. And of course she is in an Impala kill, which means that we could well be able to see her again tomorrow, which would be very nice. And there's the dove flying past, David. You see it? It's gone. Anyway, that's called a whip pan, everybody. A whip pan is when you whip the camera right to the side. Ah, look at this tree. Wonderful. Here we go. Peltiforum africanum. Stunning tree. And we've been doing quite a lot on eyes recently, and after we've driven home, towed by the Mahindra, well, I'm unfortunately going to have very sore eyes. But luckily I've just collected some Peltiforum africanum, and you can soak this in water apparently. Whoops, I nearly hit that tree. And then you can pour it in your eyes, and your eyes will be relieved of any trouble that you might have. Very soft. David, would you like to feel it?
Yes, please.
What do you think it feels like, David?
Soft.
Yes, like a soft thing. Yes. Now, if you're doing a school drive, of course, the first thing you tell people is that this tree used to be used as a toilet paper substitute. Well, kids find that deeply amusing when you tell them that. Of course, I've always found that to be a bit of a stupid tale, because if you look at it, well, there are just a lot of gaps between the leaves. And I think that using this as loo paper would be a profoundly silly idea. Anyway, that's what that tree is. Let's see what the next thing we find is. No, lots of silver cluster leaf. Let me find something else. Brent is going back to the lions, which is good fun. Silver cluster leaf, David. Oh, you know what is... I know that this is... Look, I know this isn't quite interesting as Karula and her cubs. Hang on. Never mind. Those Franklins are alarm calling. Anyway, what we have here, if you look at this leaf here on the right-hand side of it, what you can see is a bit of discoloured piece of leaf there. That's it, you can see it there. That discoloured piece of leaf is made by a leaf tear, and a leaf tear is a type of caterpillar. And although when you flick, or when you turn this leaf to the side, it looks like it's two-dimensional. It isn't, it's obviously three-dimensional. It's only a couple of cells thick, or a few cells thick, and you find that those few cells, or in between them, live a couple of tiny little caterpillars, and they're called leaf tears. Now that's a fascinating piece of information, isn't it, David?
Yes, sir.
Do you feel that you will sleep easier tonight knowing what I've just told you? There's the sunset, everybody, the magnificent orange western horizon, the embers of the African day start to disappear in amongst the dust of the Mahindra in front of us. Marvellous. Right, Brent is on his way to the lions. Let's go and find out what's happening there. I might or might not see you later.
Welcome. Well, James is giving me a chance to layer up before the cold comes. So thank you very much for that, James. And unfortunately for him, he has had quite a bit of a trying sunset safari with vehicle issues. Hopefully we'll be able to get that sorted this evening and still be able to put out 2 filming vehicles tomorrow morning, and hopefully not 1 rust bucket and 1 Mahindra Maggie. Although Maggie does serve her purpose, she's not nearly as fun to drive around in. And look at that. So the sun is set and beautiful horizon, deep, deep color. And we are now heading down towards the Buffelshoek waterhole, where here the lions have not moved much, but we are heading at the right time of the day. They will hopefully become a little bit more active. So it sounds like 4 lionesses there, so Mom might even be there. Or is Mom the 5th? Well, there's 2 moms that we know of, so there could be a 5th. The 5th mom might be with her babies. Ah, there we go. So apparently there were 2 females with suckle marks that we were with James. So both moms are present. So I wonder if the missing one is Amber Eyes, who's still trying to lose her tail of the mating lions. Well, this is where they came in. Oh, we're going to have a traffic jam here. Let's just open up, let tourists come past. Evening, everyone. Baie goed, dank in self. Nice to see you.
Hello, hello, hello.
Enjoy, guys. We'll see you a bit later. There we go. Sorry, I just had to avoid the ball of GoPros. Okay. I'm just listening to the radio. It sounds like there's possibly some more lions not far from Buffelshoek. Okay. Hi Zoe. So we've seen lion and leopard cubs this week, and Zoe is wondering, do they have the same mortality, or has one got a greater chance of success than the other? Well, Zoe, not really. They both sit around 75%. Lion cubs are in danger for a little longer in terms of their mortality rates. And of course, being a wild animal, you're always in danger to a degree out here. So leopard cubs have about a 75% mortality rate till they reach a year old. Then it drops way down to sort of 15, 20%. Whereas lion cubs will maintain that sort of 70 to 75% till with females, they're about three years old, and they're able to start coming to estrus and mating with males in case a new male coalition comes in. But they are generally around the same. Now, leopards, of course, become independent at a lot younger age than lions, and as soon as they become independent, also their mortality rate drops off, and they are a little bit skittish, and they like to move around and avoid any confrontation. And of course, there are generally more lions about than leopards, because lions being a social predator. Okay. Now, of course, I'm not sure which side of the dam or where exactly the lions are lying when we're about to arrive. So, and can you see a vehicle yet? Ah, there we go. I see a whole bunch of flat kitty cats. Oh, very flat kitty cats. There's 3 in a row kitty cats. Look at that, perfectly in a row, those 3. Now, we've just been talking about lion coalition takeovers, and Sherry in Colorado would like to know, do the females and cubs move with the males? They don't. The females will stay within their territory. The cubs get killed by the new males, and that immediately causes the females to go into estrus again, normally a false estrus first, but then the new males will start mating to produce the next litter of lions. So we've got 4 females, 3 lying in a perfect row, 1 a little bit higher. Now, you definitely don't want to be the 2 of the bottom females, and the male at the back showing you why. If lions have a full belly, which these seem to have very nice full bellies, they're quite lazy, and you can see that male lion has urinated without even sitting up. Now, lionesses will do that as well. You can see there, and he's just foot full and happy, so no need to stand up to have a pee. He just does it on the spot. Now, I have seen lions pee on each other on many, many occasions, and these 3 lionesses lying in that very straight line, and also on quite a steep bank. It could be interesting, but normally that when being urinated upon, the lions don't move at all. There's the 4th lioness. Now, even though it's quite chilly, if we look at their bellies, you can see, especially that bottom one there, you can see even though it's really cool, there's still heavy breathing, so nice fat bellies, busy digesting away. Are Beard's wondering, do I think the cubs have been introduced to the other lions yet? Very difficult to say, but there is a possibility, but I think it's unlikely for the moment. I think those cubs we've seen haven't been introduced to the other lionesses yet, but I think it'll be quite soon when it does happen. Oh, is he going to roll over? Male looked like he's going to fall down the hill. He's slipping down the hill slightly. And let's try and have a look from above, see what it looks like. Now, nothing can sleep quite as heavily as a full lion. They are the champion sleepers of the African bush. Oh, there's a bit of a stretch, not much. Let's go a tiny bit forward. And how's that for you, Jean-Andre? There we go. We've got the lionesses all lined up. They look very, very comfortable at the moment. And hello, hello. Jean-Andre, just look over my shoulder. Look there. It's a hippopotamus. Well, I wonder if he knows the lions are lying on the other side of the bush. It is possible. You might smell them. You might decide it's safer to stay in the water for a little bit. What? Jean-Andre's seen something?
Just the side light.
Oh, the side light, of course. I'll turn it down. How's that? It's always so funny when you see lions like this. They're just so fast asleep. They literally look like there's nothing in the world that could wake them. But even though they are resting like that, they'll be able to hear and still smell things and react with incredible speed. Can you hear? So we are sitting next to the Nkahuma Pride, and I'm sure a lot of our long-time viewers know how they got their name, and maybe some of our new-time viewers don't. The first time they were ever seen was under an Nkahuma tree. An Nkahuma tree is a brown ivory tree. So the first guides who were from Djuma, whoever spotted them, found them under a brown ivory tree, and that's where they got their name, the Nkahuma Pride. Now they've had a tough time of it over the last little while. When I arrived, oh look, you can see there's some stable flies, there's little biting flies feasting upon the lioness's ears. Now they're quite vicious little bloodsuckers, those little flies. But luckily for her, night time is nearly here, and that should bring some respite from the biting flies. As I was saying, the Nkumas have had a bit of a tough time of it since I've been here. I think when I started, there were 8 lioness, 7 lioness, sorry, 8 lioness, 1 young male, who was affectionately known as Junior. Now, Junior is independent now, and gets spotted every now and then. I think that hippo just caught a whiff of lion. He just snorted and lifted his head. He just looks a little bit more uncomfortable, and he's looking towards where the lions are. I don't think he can see them, but I think he can smell them. Oh, yes, he's not very happy camper. The lions are looking quite full, but they are opportunists. And if you come down a little bit from the hippo, on the edge of that mud flat, there we go, look at that. A little 3-banded plover as well. Isn't that a beautiful little silhouette? And you can see all the aquatic insects on the top of the water there. A little plover taking advantage of the last light. Isn't that absolutely gorgeous? And while we sit here and wait to see what the lions get up to, James is still being towed through some part of Djuma, so let's go see what he's got to say for himself.
It's very dusty, everybody. Lots and lots of dust. We're on our way home, as you can see. The lovely silhouettes of the knobthorn trees dead. Fork-tailed drongos up above them. We obviously won't be stopping for them. Dying embers of the day. Look, David, there is the moon. Behold the moon.
Oh,
Can you see it, David?
only just.
There we go. It's a
There we are.
beautiful shot. What are you talking about? We're taking a world-class game drive here. Well done. Zooming in on the moon while on the move. Well done, David. Excellent job. We're probably about 10 minutes out of, well, 20 minutes out of camp at this stage. VM has driven exceptionally well. He pulled us through the Mulwati drainage line like an old pro. And, well, Brian is giving him much moral support there from the middle of the car. I'm sorry those lions aren't doing anything, but I think they've eaten so much, and I'm very sure also that those 2 lionesses are going to go back to their cubs. I don't know if that's... maybe you can tell me if Spotty Nose is there. She's the one we think is the mother of the cubs we saw the other day, those 3 lovely little cubs. So she'll go down towards them if she is there. Otherwise, it might be that those other 4 are not part of, don't include Spotty Nose, which would be quite nice, because it means that we know where all of them are. And we were asked this morning where we thought all of the Nkuhumas were, and it would be very nice to be able to account for them all at this stage. And it also will mean that we have 3 lionesses with little cubs, which is going to augment the size of the pride substantially and provide us with great joy when they eventually come out from their hidey holes wherever they are now. More drongos to the right. We're now on the home straight, everybody. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on our little drive today. Of course, I must thank Viam and Brian for their sterling efforts. Let me just ask Brian to stand up. Brian, would you stand up and wave at everybody in lieu of thanks to Viam and yourself? There he is, everybody. There he is. He says we're welcome, and Viam, of course, was waving out of his bush. Well done. And a big thank you to Geraldine in the final control, ably assisted by Kirsten Mac Smith. No thanks to those back in camp who have not helped us this afternoon. Mostly thank you to all of you for your patience. We will see you tomorrow morning. We might be walking, we might be driving, we might be lying in our beds with the bushwalk camera. Who knows? Until then, stay safe and happy wherever you are, and hopefully we'll make it home alive. Bye-bye.
As you can see, the lions have not moved an inch. But I don't think these lions are going to move an inch either. And Efren's just got hold of me, and he would like to have a look at the lions before it's too late. So I've said, no problem, Efren, you can start making your way. So I'm just going to let him know. So we're going to stay here till Efren's a little bit closer, and then we're going to move on, and hopefully we can find some other fascinating nocturnal creatures. FF. If, as soon as you get close, I'll make space for you. So I think they are going to be flat cats with those full bellies for a while yet. Well, this is a very interesting angle. Not often you get to be above 3 completely fast asleep lionesses, actually 4, if we count the one that's just out of the light. Oh, time for a rollover. Well, hi, Cindy in North Carolina. Cindy wants to know, do the big cats have different brain sizes, and is one more intelligent than the other? Intelligence is a slightly more difficult thing to gauge in an animal like a big cat. It's very easy, for example, for a hyena. A hyena as opposed to a lion. A hyena is a much more intelligent animal. And is able to problem solve much easier. Not to say lions can't problem solve, but they struggle with it, let's leave it at that. And so do leopards to a degree. What they are is they're very instinctive creatures. So they rely on their instinct. What has she heard? What? I might have heard something or seen something. Maybe heard something in the distance. Now, as James said earlier, the females with cubs are more than likely going to head back to their cubs at some point. And of course, those cubs are little, so even if they do move off, we're not going to stay with them. Well, at least she's... Oh, there we go. Down the hill, onto her pride mate. But it looks like the sand absorbed it, luckily enough for the lioness below. Okay, she might go for a drink. So let's just see what she's doing. I know Ephraim's not too far away, so we will make space for him. I think this is about the most action we're going to see out of these cats. No, looks like she might have been more interested in defecating than anything else. Interesting to see how the hippo reacts. I copy. If the one with Fuzz is about to drink, as soon as she's finished drinking, I'm out. Give me 2 minutes, please. There we go. Look at that. So, very full belly. Having a quick drink. I hope you guys are getting some nice screenshots. I'm going to snap a shot quickly. Isn't that gorgeous? Okay, aren't we spoiled today? Lots of cats everywhere. You can actually hear her lapping up the water. Okay guys, so Ephraim's just up the road. We've had such a fantastic day. I mean, leopard and lion all over this place. And we'll definitely be looking for these guys on the sunrise safari. But I'm going to let Ephraim come in now and have his chance, and we're going to go see what else we can find. I think I'm going to go look for that little African wildcat that we've been seeing around Gari Cutline. Cheers, cheers. Enjoy, guys. Wasn't that spectacular? Make your way in. Okay, so I wonder what else this winter wonderland out here in the African bush has got to offer us. I wouldn't mind a little wildcat. What do you think, Chandra? That'd be quite nice, little African wildcat. Film's just over there. This could get a little bit interesting. I'm just going to stop quickly before we disappear. We are quite far away from them, but the hippo and the lioness. She's going to walk right in front of the hippo. Let me just grab my spotlight. Very good. So this looks like one of the mothers. So she's going to be heading back towards the babies. Now, I wonder if the hippo is going to charge her. If we come out a little bit, Chandra, you can just see where the hippo is. So there's the hippo. Oh, no, she's going to flop down again. We're going to go utilize the nice cool water there. Okay, let's continue on. Ephraim's on his way in here. Okay. Wow, cat a day. Saturday, cat a day. So this morning you had quarantine with Jamie. And this evening, you've had the Nkahumas with James, and we've had Krula and the Cubs. Amazing! And of course, the Nkahumas again. Unfortunately for James and his mishap with Wendy. So I definitely want to head down towards Gari Cutline, where we've seen that African wildcat twice on the Buffelshoek boundary, and both times have actually been spectacular sightings. And that's the wonderful thing about being out here, is you never know what's around the next corner. It could be a caracal. Hi, Janet. Janet would like to know, do we have any fruit or insect-eating bats in the area? We have both, and quite a few different species of both. The most common of the fruit-eating bats we get in this area would be straw-coloured fruit bat, or Peter's epauletted fruit bat. Of the insectivorous bats, we've got probably 30 species easily. Everything from the Mauritian tomb bats, to Egyptian tomb bats, free-tailed bats, horseshoe-nosed bats. Now, there's a lot of bat species here. Of course, they're one of the more difficult ones to film or photograph, but they are around. And the fruit bats have a wonderful little pooping call, I suppose. It goes boop, boop, boop. And the insectivorous bats are much more high-pitched, sort of very difficult to do. Woof. But nippy in the dip, say, Chandra. I think it's going to be bitterly cold this evening. I think tomorrow morning is going to be one of the coldest drives of the year, would be my guess. So this is the area where we've seen that little African wildcat. It could be anywhere here. Hi, Honey Bear in Connecticut. Honey Bear would like to know, are African wildcats the same as feral cats in the USA? Not at all. They're their own distinct species. Feral cats, obviously domestic cats that have gone wild, so to speak. These are completely wild African cat species. They're one of their biggest threats. Oh, vultures, where are you off to? Let's see if there's, I don't want to put the spotlight on them, give them a fright. They just took off as we drove past. We don't want to blind the vulture and cause it to fly into a tree. Looks like a little hooded vulture, not the big white-backed. Off they go. I'm sure they'll find another nice tree to roost in. So anyway, one of the biggest threats that faces African wildcats is actually the domestic cat, and more so the feral domestic cat, because they are able to interbreed with African wildcats, and they destroy their genetics. So one of the biggest threats to African wildcats is domestic feral cats. So, tomorrow is Sunday for us, and that means I think we might be having a fireside chat tomorrow evening. And we'll gather around the fire and talk about the fantastic sightings of the week. And I must say, I've only been back on drive since Thursday, and I've seen, what have I seen since I've been back? I've seen the Nkuhuma lioness and the Birmingham male. I think I have not had a drive that I haven't had cats in. So that was my first drive back. My second drive had the Nkuhuma cubs for the first time, 3 of them and mom. And then later we had Shivamba lion and quarantine. And then the next drive we had a magnificent sighting of quarantine. And then this morning I had a sleep in. And then this afternoon we've had Karula on 2 different sightings, one with the cubs, one without. And then now the Nkuhumas. So I think my cat mojo is working since I've been back, but I better not jinx it, because we know how it can go. Tomorrow we might not see a cat for the next week. Hopefully we will be able to get Wendy up and running, otherwise we'll rig Maggie the Mahindra again. There's that night show on the road. Okay, no bush babies yet. I'm hoping for a bush baby along this quite chilly section along the edge of the drainage line. We had such a fantastic bush baby sighting last night. It is. Oh, we got some eyes ahead. Oh no, they're just an impala. Yep, just an impala. Or maybe we'll see an African civet. The last time I saw that, an African civet popped out in front of us. Now, this is always a good spot for bush babies. And it seems like tonight we're not having any luck. Maybe we're a little bit late and they've already moved off. Maybe we might even find a good spot for Verreaux's eagle owl as well. I like to roost in a big jackalberry tree here. Have a look. I'm just having a look in the tree. You can see it's a massive African ebony or jackalberry tree. I'm just trying to see if there's an owl or a bush baby or a genet. And no such luck. Now, strangely enough, on my way to bed last night, I saw a Janet just behind James's room, and it was very relaxed. I shone my torch on him, and he sat there and watched past. Very cute little creatures, and of course quite often incorrectly referred to as genet cats, and they are not actually a cat at all, but much more closely related to the mongoose family. Oh yes, Jandre was telling me that tonight is, what's it called, Jandre? It's Jupiter ascending or something like that. Ascension. So tonight, Jupiter will actually go behind the moon. So you can see Jupiter next to the moon there. There we go. You can actually see. So the fuzz is not fuzz. It's actually the incredible amount of dust we have in the dry season here. And you can almost see it. Almost looks like the moon's pixelating, but it's not. It's actually just the massive amount of dust that are in the atmosphere. Now, Jandre is going to do some camera magic. Now, hopefully there's some Pink Floyd fans out there. The dark side of the moon. And there's Jupiter. So during the course of the night, can you see my spotlight? No, not really. No. So during the course of the night, that little ball there, which is actually a massive gaseous planet called Jupiter, is going to traverse behind the moon for us. So it's going to keep heading up in the sky and eventually go behind the moon. Nice, Jandre. Thank you for reminding me about that. Jandre and I discussed it as we started this evening's sunset safari. Oh, what's the dust? Hi, Norman in Georgia would like to know if African wildcats are related to American bobcats. No, they're far more closely related to the domestic cat. They are probably the ancestors of the domestic cats, but the domestic cats have been so inbred with each other that their genetics are not very good. But so no, they're not. The bobcat is, of course, a member of the family Felis, the cat family, but not at all closely related to any of the African cats, unfortunately. And so about as closely related is, let's try and think of a comparison, as a chimpanzee is to a gorilla. No, that's much closer. As a warthog is to a bush pig. They're both pigs and both share a common ancestor many millennia ago, but there we go. What's that? What's that? What's that? What's that? Oh, it's a bushbuck apparently in a scrub here. It looked so small. I thought it could be an African civet. I got excited. It was quite a long way away. Just make sure nothing's hiding down here. No, there isn't. But thank you very much for joining us on this wonderful sunset safari. And we do apologize for the vehicle issues we've been having with James. It would have been great to have him out as well with me for the majority of the safari, but I thoroughly enjoyed keeping you all to myself. But I'll see you in a few short hours for the sunrise safari, so toodles for now.